on the set in 3, 2, 1, going live.
All right, Don, here we go. Another episode of HB Unplugged. And,
yes.
We got quite the guest. I'm Mel Craig.
I'm Don Ramsey.
And let's welcome Mr. Andrew Gruel.
Andrew Gruel, yeah.
Yeah, let's give him a big hand. Got the sound effects.
Got the whole audience
Yeah,
out
look
here.
at how many people are here.
Unbelievable.
Crazy.
Oh, my gosh.
So Andrew Gruel is not only a city council member, but he's one of the top chefs in the county or maybe even the country, depending on what you like to eat, but actually brought one of his cookbooks. We were just talking about some of the stuff that he's done, and I'd really like to just introduce Andrew as not only just a Huntington Beach guy, but we were just talking about what he did for the wildfires that happened back in the beginning in January.
Yeah.
And can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Well, one of the things it's interesting here is you're kind of like the guy who's behind the scenes all the time. Like when I first found out you were on the city council, I'm going, God dang, do I know this guy? And it was interesting to see, and I started reading about you, what amazing man you are, what you do, and everything that you we were talking.
He's good at whatever he does.
Yeah. You're talking about hitchhiking from Maine all the way to here. I mean, the hippie days and stuff. So this is going to be a classic show. Everyone who's watching, this is really cool. So go ahead, introduce Andrew and
Gruel. I mean, we're blessed to have him on today, and go ahead and just tell us where you're from. I know that you're from back east, but you're living here. This is your probably the best place you've ever lived.
That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. Yeah,
100%. All right, so just a quick high-level overview. I grew up in New Jersey, Jersey boy, and I went to a small liberal arts college up in Maine, Bates College. I was actually studying philosophy, political philosophy, and piano performance. I was a music guy, and then I'd always worked in restaurants. Growing up, parents, when 15, you got to get a job, 14, et cetera, and then I started working full-time up there in a restaurant, got sucked into the restaurant industry. Actually, one of my first jobs up there, I was working the overnight shift at Denny's. So if you guys want to talk about moons over my hammy or Della Dingers, I'm your guy.
So when you say you got sucked in, it wasn't really a goal of yours then to be in the restaurant business.
Nope, not at all. But I loved it. I love the culture. I call it the pirate ship, right? It's just a bunch of pirates. The cool thing about the restaurant industry is you get thousands of people from all different walks of life who ultimately want to work in the restaurant industry. Some are part-time teachers, some are actors, some are just recovering drug addicts.
Wow.
Some are people in between. But they all come together and become the bestest friends for service. So that's kind of like been the foundation of the way in which I look at business as well as I think of it as a restaurant or a kitchen. So I started working in restaurants, and I dropped out of college, and that's when I hitchhiked. I go, and I was really into I was very big into environment and sustainability, so I was going to transfer out to University of Montana, and I said, I'm just going to hitchhike out there, the whole Kerouac thing. And I hitchhiked from Maine down.
Obviously, you weren't married at this time.
No, I wasn't married. I was 19. I hitchhiked.
Wow.
I hitchhiked from Maine to Buffalo, and then Buffalo all the way across out to Montana, and then I ended up getting a job. And that was 3 weeks.
Did you have the backpack and stuff?
I had my dad's old Army bag.
Wow.
He gave me his old Army bag, and I remember I got mugged in the Chicago bus station. That was fun. Got to learn got to show my Aikido moves. And I was a lot bigger then. I used to be 6'9" before I started working in restaurants.
Yeah, me too. I was
6'10". Yeah. We're all been there in our dreams.
So I ended up at the Grand Teton Lodge Company working over there in the summer, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Fell in love with it. Got mentored by a very good chef out
Jackson
there.
Hole.
Oh, yeah.
It was beautiful, beautiful. Then I did my culinary apprenticeship program at a hotel, Timberline Lodge, up in Mount Hood, Oregon. It's also a big snowboarder, and you can snowboard there 365 days of the year because there's the only place in North America where there's like a glacier that's
Stays
all year.
All year.
So did my apprenticeship over there, and then went back to college in Denver. Wanted to keep snowboarding, so went to Denver, got my degree in culinary arts and Johnson Wales University, and then started my culinary tour. Right, I worked for the Ritz-Carlton, various hotels, bistros, restaurants, Michelin star restaurants. Back to New York, New Jersey. Opened a restaurant in New Hampshire, got in the business side of it, went back to school, got my business degree, food marketing, food service management, and studying there while I was working at the Ritz-Carlton. But then in 2009, economy takes a dump.
It did, a bad one. That was a bad time for everyone.
Yeah, big
worldwide.
Big dump. I mean, we're talking number 3 style dump.
Yeah.
And the only place, so restaurants were closing. The only places that had money were nonprofits. And I said, I'm going to take this time to follow through on a passion project of mine, which was sustainable seafood, ocean conservation, where the chefs meet the ocean. I say, it was always a big thing for me. And the Aquarium of the Pacific actually had a grant that they had developed with the Pacific Life Foundation. They wanted a chef with a marketing background, and I had gone to school for that subsequently after culinary school, to launch this program to get more chefs to serve the right types of seafood. Local seafood that was caught in a manner in which it didn't harm the surrounding ecosystem. It was this very fascinating mix of like sustainability, food policy, supply chain management, and paid virtually nothing. But I said, here's my opportunity to get to the greatest place in the world. And I always wanted to come to Huntington Beach because in 2006, my dad actually was out here for a conference. He said, Andrew, you want to come out and check out Huntington Beach, California? Fell in love with it.
Where were you at that time?
At that time, I was living in Jersey.
Oh,
I was
so
back in Jersey. Yeah.
Wow, so it was a culture shock.
I was a corporate chef for the Marriott at the time, took some time off, and came out. Absolutely loved it.
Had you heard of Huntington Beach? I mean,
Yeah. Everybody on the East Coast knows about Huntington Beach.
And they have the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big.
The Jersey Shore, and I was kind of a skater, surfer growing up, so Huntington Beach was really iconic in the sense of we would watch the videos. I remember I had posters of Christian Hosoi all over my room in Jersey in like the 80s growing up, which is hilarious because he became a friend and a huge fan of Slapfish when I had that, so that was kind of a weird moment. I was following him around the restaurant, asking him to sign my Vans. So always knew Huntington, fell in love with this, and then when I took this job with the Aquarium of the Pacific, I was like, got to get to Huntington Beach, and have been here ever since.
Wow.
And
what year was that?
That was in 2009.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting is that after the granted program, I realized in the world of seafood, nobody was serving high-quality, sustainable seafood at the cost and convenience of faster food. Food trucks were getting big, so I started Slapfish as one food truck in 2011, and then grew that. We opened 53 restaurants in 3 different countries and 17 different states, and then I sold it in 2022.
Right. Wow. It's funny because I grew up in the restaurant business, and I almost went to culinary school. My dad owned 3 restaurants.
Oh, nice.
Eventually, all 3 were going at the same time, but he first started with one, a cafe, and then it grew and it grew. And so, he made sure that all of his boys worked that restaurant.
Yep.
Just to see what it was like and learn the art.
So he knows Heck Valdez, right?
Oh, okay.
Heck's going to be on the podcast eventually, and but to get to know him and to know him like he is, he's a pretty special guy. And I had gone in there to my wife wanted something to eat, and we were around the corner. I said, well, let's try this try this place. I didn't really know about it. I got her some food, and I brought it back to her, and she goes, wow, this is some of the best. I forget what she ordered. She ordered like some shrimp, but it was breaded or something. Mm-hmm. And then I saw Heck working in there because I knew him from just other stuff that I do, right? And it was just kind of interesting. And now talking to you years later, you're talking about, Heck's a great guy.
He was the first person I met in Huntington Beach.
Wow.
First person I met, that was in 2000. First person I met of like major significance, and we've been friends ever since. The guy's got the most amazing heart in the world. I consider him one of my greatest friends.
He's a great guy.
He has been there all along. And what's great about him is that I met him because I stumbled into HB Tattoo.
I was going to say he's a tattoo.
He's a tattoo right across the street.
Yeah.
I stumbled into HB Tattoo. I'd been overserved that night. It wasn't my fault.
Do you have tattoos?
Oh yeah, all over. He's done every single one of them.
Oh yeah, so cool.
I think he's done probably 20 or 25 tattoos for me. And what's hilarious is I walked in there and I go, "What did I get? I think I got a ketchup jar of a tattoo." He goes, a ketchup jar? He goes, are you drunk? And I said, a little bit. And he said, you sure you want this? And I said, yeah. And he's like, all right, we'll go grab a drink together afterwards. And he gave me the tattoo, and he told me at the time, he goes, you're an idiot.
Are you drunk?
And and then we went afterwards. He gave me the tattoo. We went, we had a drink. He drove me home. And we've been great friends ever since.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's
Unreal.
a good story. Yeah. We'll have him elaborate on it when we do
we'll hear his side of
his
side of the story next, yeah.
So he's going to tell it. He's going to give you more granular detail. He's going to give you a lot more granular.
That's how we roll on this show, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Oh, great. So now I'm getting all my sources checked episode to
episode. Tell us a little bit more about, when Rick and I, So when I do a lot of events in town, and when I do the Surf City Marathon and the Surf City 10, there are 2 events that happen here. The marathon's huge. I'm doing it again. Our band's playing. I put buses there. We raise a bunch of money this year for the Huntington Beach Youth Shelter. But when it's all said and done, they give me everything that's left over because I give it to the youth shelter, Robin's Nest, someone cares food kitchen in Costa Mesa, and Colette's House. So there are 4 charities locally that benefit from it. But when Rick said, "Hey, let's go to Calico. You can take a bunch of that water because they're generating all this stuff for the fire victims up north," and I'm thinking,
Palisades.
dude, yeah, that's perfect. And so when I was able to do that and help is when I got turned on to who you were and what you were doing. Although we didn't really meet like we know each other now, I was really impressed by just you weren't out there trying to get people talk to you on the TV. They weren't, you weren't getting your picture taken. You were there working, and I was impressed.
So the whole reason I opened a restaurant originally was because people in the restaurant industry it's an industry of abuse and mistreatment, and we said we're going to open our restaurant so that we can start to treat people better, and we can use the restaurant as a way in which we can also help local communities. So when we did franchise, we put that in our franchise agreements. You got to donate a certain percentage of sales to various community organizations that get picked up by us. We've started multiple nonprofits ourselves. Our first 501c3 during the pandemic was 86 Restaurant Struggle. We raised $620,000 for struggling out of work restaurant workers that started in Huntington Beach and ultimately grew
great.
around the country. And
Unreal.
the goal is to always use the restaurant to help others. Huntington Beach has the most amazing organizations. Heck's been involved with it from the Wayward Youth Shelter to you mentioned all of them. But when the fires hit, right? So when the fires hit, we always say we have the infrastructure. Not to get political, but in the event of an emergency, the government is the slowest to act because it's by their nature. They're bureaucratic, right?
Sure.
So the communities always step up, and we say, okay, how can we stitch ourselves in so we can help? So we had a parking lot, huge parking lot. We had the restaurant to feed people, and then we had the staff. I remember I was sitting I was putting my son to bed, 3 at the time, and I'm laying there and I see that the fires are starting. So I tweeted out, I said, if anybody needs a place to stay, come down to the restaurant. You can stay at our house. You can stay in the restaurant. And I start watching the cameras, and people start coming down because they're escaping LA. So we open up the restaurant overnight. We start cooking for people and figuring out where people can stay, hotels, friends, etc.
After it started.
Right, the night that the winds picked up and it started. Then that morphs, and people start reaching out to me saying, how can we help? And I said, okay, well, I reached out to Matthew Barnett, who runs the Dream Center in Los Angeles. I said, what products do you need? And he gave me a list of products. So I write, my wife, Lauren, who's integral in all of this, she runs all the businesses with me. She posts out, hey, we need water, we need this, we need that. Post it out. She walks up to the restaurant with a box. She's like, this should be enough. Okay, fast forward. You bring the water. All these people are driving stuff. 5 days
Trucks,
later,
I tell you, Rick and I we had to wait in line just to even get in there to unload.
We had almost 700 cars coming through the restaurant over a certain time period. We had 115 volunteers on site. They were doing traffic control. We had Enterprise, a U-Haul donating trucks. So at any point, we had 7 to 10 trucks, full box trucks, driving products up to 3 different locations in Los Angeles because we inadvertently wasn't planned.
You're talking about food.
We're talking food, products,
Clothing.
diapers, clothing.
Yeah.
Dude Wipes dropped an entire pallet of Dude Wipes for us. We were doing cases of Zyn for the firefighters on the front lines. We basically became the conduit for products from San Diego, Orange County, all the way up to LA. We got passed to go onto the fire lines, so we got that access. Then it was about the pets. So the pets ended up, there were all these people who left their pets there. So we stitched in with an emergency organization, that Canine Rescue, where they're actually old military guys who can go into the fire zone and rescue the horses, the pets, goats, right? So then we started raising money and getting all the pet supplies, which that's a whole nother industry I didn't know about. So now we're going behind the fire lines to save the pets, and it turned into this amazing organization. But the point of the story is it's people like you, right, who show up, bring in the water, other people from the community. They were unbelievable, our community here in Huntington Beach. It wasn't me, it wasn't Lauren, it wasn't the restaurant. We were strictly the vehicle through which they could do good.
Yeah.
You opened up a set of doors and everybody came.
Everyone came and everyone helped each other out. And I was saying this off air before. It was right after the election, and politics and toxicity was high. And it was the coolest thing in the world to look out and see, like, people in MAGA hats and MAGA shirts, and then people in Kamala shirts and Kamala hats, high-fiving, loading trucks, putting politics aside in order to help out the people in Los Angeles.
Yeah, see, it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be done.
All in the name of good. So
Yeah.
that's kind of part of our DNA and what we like to do with the
Where
restaurant.
was the restaurant?
Calico.
It was okay.
Calico,
okay.
yeah. Because we had the parking spots, right? So, and I'll tell you what's hilarious. Another quick story that's so funny. This guy who owns a farm up there came down in his RV, right? It kind of broken down looking RV. It was like a camper / RV. We got to know him, and really nice guy. A little weird, but nonetheless, he was very helpful, and he helped us and volunteer. And one day he's like, I gotta go. We said, why? He said, there's animals that are lost up there, and this guy drives back, picks up horses,
And puts him in
saves
his
horses,
motorhome.
comes back. We
Oh
feed
my
him a
God.
meal. He goes back down into San Diego. Never heard from him ever since. But just cool stories like that of these people that are all just helping out
Unreal.
and doing good stuff.
That's fantastic.
And what about your family?
Well, my mom and my dad have been married for 50 plus years, and they're my inspiration.
They're still alive.
They're still alive.
Fantastic.
Yep. They're my inspiration. My dad was raised by the nuns, basically, and always said you got to help out community service.
So Catholic, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And he went into the Army and was a military guy, and then ultimately came out, and he just instilled in us the need to always help. So when we were growing up, we had to do 100 hours of community service a year. My sister and I, both through school and church programs. And so I was involved at a young age with food because there was this program, Bridges, where we would actually cook food and then every Friday night bring food into the homeless people that were living under the bridges, Brooklyn Bridge, all that. So they set the tone for me in doing right. But now I have my wife and I.
And her name is?
Lauren Gruel.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Lauren Gruel,
Yeah,
yep. We've got 4 kids, and it's a family organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And I'll tell you a funny story about her. So we met and we got married after 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was our 3rd date. We got married.
Wow.
What?
You got
Really?
married on your 3rd date?
3rd date. Yeah.
Just went to the courthouse?
Went to Vegas.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I took her to Vegas.
What? Okay, you got to hit us with that story. How'd that happen? Why?
Because when you know, you know. And
you know what? With Karen, I agree with that. I used to say I'm not so sure about that, but I met Karen and I knew. I absolutely knew my wife was the one for me when I met her.
I mean, I was 30. I don't even know how old I was, 31, 32, what have you. And my mom was getting worried. You're never going to get married. You're never going to have kids. And I'm like, of course I'm not. I'm going to be this loner, drifter, gutter snipe.
I'm hitchhiking to Montana, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And then I met Lauren, and I was like, yep. And the thing is, in every relationship, somebody settles. So I knew she was a 10 to my, 5 or 6. And so I'm like, I gotta nail this one down.
When we were all at the handguns and
Hot rods and handguns.
hot rod and handguns at that event a couple weeks ago. So you're in the background over there, and I'm standing with Rick. We're right by the main door, and your wife walks in. She goes, "Where's my husband?" And I go, "He's right over there." And she goes, "Son," she beelined over to you. I just thought it was good.
That's I joked and I said this in the speech. Everyone's like, "Oh, you guys you got married after 6 weeks, and now you have 4 kids, and you've got this relationship that's lasted over a decade, etc." That's hard. And I said, that's not the hard part. So when I married her, she was in culinary school. Afterwards, 6 weeks and 1 day, she said, what am I going to do? I said, you're going to drop out and you're going to be my chief operating officer. Because at that time we had about maybe 13 restaurants. No. At that time I had 5, but I had just signed a deal in Dubai. I said, you're going to run everything. You're going to be the vice president of marketing. She said, okay, I'll do it, whatever you want. And since then, we've run all of our businesses together. So she's my business partner, which that's intense. That's intense, but it works. So she's
It's got to be some real chemistry there to make that work. Because I work with Karen, and you see a lot. I see a lot of husband and wives teams, try to put something together, try to work together as a business, and very difficult to do.
Yeah,
very difficult.
Can we
Very
talk a
challenging.
little bit? So I can't stay too long, but you know what? We need to have another.
This is
episode.
this
Andrew's
is
a great
badass,
guy.
dude.
Yeah.
This is really
thank
good.
But
Yeah, this
can we
is good.
talk about the family cookbook right here?
Yeah, so we did our family cookbook because everyone was asking me, we want recipes. I don't know how to cook. We want to do something easy. So we said, you know what? If my kids can do the recipes, then you can do it. So we actually, and I'd written for cookbook divisions in the past where we did recipe testing. So I wrote 50 recipes. Lauren's a professional photographer. She did all the photography. And we said, the kids have to test them. So I gave the kids 50 recipes. If they screwed up, I rewrote the recipe until they could nail it.
Yeah, I saw a
So
couple
what you're
of
saying,
videos
not,
on
not
Facebook.
just tasting them, they had to make them.
They had to make them.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's I know there's at least one, maybe 2 of the recipes that you had your sons there, and I saw them. Whoa, this is like serious stuff.
Yeah, they do all. We have a cooking show and kind of food politics that we do called American Gravy, and our kids are in that all the time and do all the recipes with us. Gruel Family Cookbook, 50 recipes, no seed oils, scratch made.
If someone wanted to get this, where would they go
where do you get the
it?
book?
It's at www.andrewcookbook.com.
And
that's right up here on the screen. You'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, www.andrewcookbook.com.
All right.
Get it at Brave Books, because Brave Books is a children's book company.
Oh, okay.
It's actually, you guys remember Growing Pains?
Yes.
Kirk
Of course,
Cameron.
yeah.
Yeah, so Kirk Cameron does all the books, the kids' children's books with this company, and then we did the cookbook
Wow, that's
as they were the
fantastic.
publisher. So you can also go to Brave Books, or you can get it on Amazon. Just look up Chef Gruel's Family Cookbook.
So this has 50 of your best recipes, or the ones that your kids really liked best?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what it is?
And they're fun. You know, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's easy. Nothing over the top. No, they're not overly intellectual.
What's the youngest age of your kids?
Well, so our kids now are 5, 7, 11, and 15.
5. So
Five,
how old
7,
were they
11,
when the book
15.
came out?
So let's see. Last year it came out
Last
exactly a year ago.
Okay,
yeah.
so 4. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
four.
Unreal. So and now talk about getting your kids involved. That's a really cool way to do it.
Yeah. And so it's good to hear that you grew up in restaurants, because I always wonder if my kids are going to be crazy, but you're amazing, so I know they're going to be good.
Yeah.
Because as our kids growing up in the restaurants is like, it's the funniest thing in the world, because they work the restaurants. They learn life through the restaurants.
Yeah, it was interesting to grow up and watch the good and the bad. The restaurant business, I don't wish it upon everybody. It's a tough business to really make a living. It's very difficult to do if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a very sharp businessman, but I remember the times when he would overbuy, the perishables and have to, what am I going to do? Of course, he'd cherry them out and give it out as much as he possibly could. But yeah, it's a tough business to do. And, I loved it. I had a lot of good times with my dad in the kitchen in the restaurant. And that's what drove me to the thought, maybe I want to go to culinary school.
Yeah.
And I almost did. Right out of the Army, I almost went to culinary school, and I didn't do it.
But
I still love to cook. So does my brother.
How would you mix culinary school with being
A detailer?
a car guy?
Yeah, well,
Because that's how I know you, as you
yeah.
being a car guy. I
Well,
don't
'cause,
understand anything else. From
all my brothers, my uncles were hot rodders.
Okay.
And so cars were big in our family. And so my 2 older brothers started detailing. And I'll never forget, I was 10 years old and I was crying in the front room. My dad comes, what the hell's the matter with you? My dad was a tough guy. I go, I want to help detail a car and they won't let me. It was my brother's out on the driveway. My dad grabs me and takes me to the front door. He goes, hey, put him to work.
That's
And
awesome.
pay him.
And pay him.
And that's how I got started. It was 10 years old, and I really liked it. And I don't know, just off and on throughout my younger years.
a couple years later, here you are.
Yeah, here I am. Yeah. This isn't about me, though. It's about you. And
Yeah. So, what about Fox News? I know that because I watch a lot of Fox News and I see you on there, and it looks like, I would love to be on Gutfeld, or at least be in the audience to watch you live during some of those episodes. But what's that like?
Oh, well, we got to get you on. Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I started doing. Well, it's funny. So TV and media, I launched in 2013-14. I got picked up by Food Network, and I was kind of their food truck guy. So I did some shows with them, and then I hosted a show on FYI Network, back to Food Network. But then in 2020, when I started speaking out about the pandemic, I got dropped from a lot of the kind of traditional mainstream media stuff because they didn't like my viewpoints on it. And who was standing there with open arms but Fox?
oh, wow.
So then that's when I started doing a lot more with Fox, and then ultimately became a regular doing all the shows.
You were just with Trace a couple nights ago.
Yeah, just
correct?
last night. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'll
that was nice.
usually do Fox News at night, typically once a week, and then go back to do Gutfeld every couple of weeks. And
So
then,
you on the red eye, you fly there and
Yeah.
do it, and then you fly back.
God, that
that
must
night.
be hard.
Wow.
yeah.
During the pandemic, what advice did you give people? God, I know the restaurant industry suffered tremendously. What advice did you give? I'm sure people turned to you. I'm sure they did. Pick up the phone, call, email, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
sure they were turning to you for advice and help.
Yeah, I mean, a lot from the mechanics of running a restaurant. A lot of the advice I was giving was just about, adapting, right? So trying to amp up catering and various offsite operations, and just giving people more advice in regards to those kind of details. However, from a grand perspective about restaurants, I was reaching out to senators and congresspeople and local political organizations as well, just to push through to make sure that restaurants weren't vilified as being these hotbeds for spread. When they shut down outdoor dining in California, which was a political move, that was just a death kiss for restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
There's so
Had to
many
be.
restaurants
And-
shut down after that.
And what was really interesting about that is that they did that in December of 2020. And I recall that at that time, they said, don't worry, we're going to give you guys all unemployment insurance and you'll get your checks. So we didn't fire anybody. We made sure that we had the cash flow to be able to hold everybody and continue to pay them. But other restaurants called me and said, well, we called up the unemployment insurance and they said that there's no money because of the fraud. If you recall, they misappropriated $50 billion.
It was huge.
In unemployment fraud. So they said, well, we got to wait for the new administration. It was Biden at the time. So you guys will get your checks in April. So you have thousands of restaurant workers throughout Southern California who can't pay rent, who can't pay electricity, buy Christmas gifts, holiday gifts for their kids, et cetera. So that's when we said we're going to raise $10,000 and hand out 10 $1,000 checks to restaurant workers throughout Orange County. Within 24 hours, we raised $70,000, and then that's when we got that number up into almost the $700,000 range. Wow. Christmas Eve, I was driving around with a newborn, my wife, and the kids, paying landlords their rent, people's rent, and that program morphed. That put me on the map nationally because we had Lester Holt down here, CBS, and then we ultimately started writing checks, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 checks to restaurants to help them out. So what we were doing was we were bringing restaurants in. We were working directly. I don't know if you know Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet.
I used to watch him he was amazing.
Unbelievable. He partnered with us. Robert Irvine helped us out on this. We had some really big names that came behind us to support it. And it was a way in which we could show people that in the absence of the government stepping in to help or not help, once again, same as the fires, the community is always going to be there first. And we ran that for 3 or 4 months, and that kind of put me in the spotlight, which is really then what catalyzed and catapulted me more into the political media sphere. And then somehow, I don't know how the hell this happened, I ended up on city council.
In Huntington Beach. But this is the place.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here.
No, we're glad that you're on the council. You're very articulate, and some of the
very well spoken.
I see you answer some of the questions that people are uneducated about, and every time they walk away knowing exactly what is going on, as opposed to some, information that is incorrect.
Yeah, the keyboard is crazy. The keyboard is crazy. We know it. And here I am meeting you, and I'm blown away. We are going to have you back. Real soon.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot more we need to talk about. But, the keyboard can be really crazy for people. And I remember Kevin Elliott coming here.
Yeah.
Some of the emails I got after his show, people were almost apologizing for bad-mouthing the air show as bad as they did, not realizing after he spoke and he was on the air with us, wow, I didn't know that's what it took to put this thing on.
Yeah.
People don't see what's happening in the back end.
He's like Andrew. He's not out there looking for thank yous or anything like that.
No,
he's
it's
just
another
doing
thing,
his job, and just kind of what you're doing. You're not out there looking for applause or anything. You're doing it because
something you want to do.
Yeah.
You got a heart of gold.
I will tell you,
you're a
though,
good
what
man.
I usually do tell my wife when I either do the laundry or empty the dishwasher, I make sure she knows. Sometimes I am looking for
gotta.
That's the epitome of keeping it local.
I come out of the master bedroom into the front room. Honey, I just made the bed.
Yeah.
I got to make it clear. Oh, good. I'm glad. Make a note. I made the bed. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm washing the dishes.
Yeah. And I always tell her, and she says, "Why are you telling me about it?" I said, "Oh, I just want to make sure you knew so you didn't do it."
Yeah.
I
need that.
You don't need to go check it out. It's already taken care of.
Yeah.
Let's make a list. The honey-do list is done.
Yep. Exactly.
Well,
this has been cool. One of the things I do want to bring up really quick is that, this show is all about HB community. That's why Don and I got together. We talked about this, and that's what we launched it for. This is one of the reasons for everybody out there watching this episode. This is why we do this. We just exposed you big, here in Huntington Beach. 'Cause a lot of people don't, even me. I had to look you up. I knew of you, and this is, finally meeting you and stuff. What an amazing guy! Totally off the charts. This has been a great episode for me personally to grow and watch what you've done and see that there's, some, commonalities that we. Being in the restaurant business, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't obviously do it. I love to barbecue, and that's about it now. But yeah.
Hey, that's the hard part. Well, I appreciate that. And to dovetail off of that, what I will say is the one thing I've learned from being on city council is how many community members there are, residents here in Huntington Beach, who are doing unbelievable, amazing work, unsung heroes who are not asking for recognition. So take the parks, right? The hundreds of volunteers in the parks that are keeping our parks clean. That's who I was going to say. Steve Angle, right? I've gotten to know him. Betty Flynn. A lot of these people
Flynn,
who are
good
just
friend.
so passionate about the city. And, you know, our all of our city buildings, the downtown district, the libraries, right? You know, I know that was a real contentious topic a few months back, but the reality is that it's contentious because people are passionate about Huntington Beach.
Yeah, I remember talking to PT one night. We were at some event, and I could see the stress that he had on his face, you know, for the project that he was working on downtown.
Yeah.
And it's like, my wife and I walked away, and I was going, you realize he doesn't get paid for that?
Yeah.
Like, he's just given his heart and soul. And look at, he's taking it so personal. He's stressed out over the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, that he's such a big giver, you know, trying always to make this community something. It's hard to say why, you know, we always try to make this community better. We always try to do things that are greater. And it's like we already are one of the best communities I've ever lived in, you know, or visited or had a chance to be a part of. You know?
This is the most unique city in all of America, if not the world. And because, not just because of the people, but also just the geography here, right? You got the California bite off the coast here, and our beaches and the way in which we attract tourism. But the geography is so unique; it's one of a kind, right? And then you pull that back into the parks, even Huntington Lake, and then furthermore, the way in which we kind of access the main artery or corridor off the 405 going into the Inland Empire. This is a gem and we're part of this watershed too.
Yeah.
So if you think about it from sustainability, we are actually the capture basin for all of the water that comes down, much of which is polluted. And Huntington Beach, unfortunately, has to be the reservoir for a lot of that pollution. And our public works departments keeps it clean, make sure that we maintain this idea of sustainability at the forefront of their operations. And people don't know about any of this. Instead, it's just, oh, like you said, the keyboard warriors, like, oh, you said this or you said that, so screw you, this city is junk. Yeah. It's like, you don't even know what goes on in order to make the sausage.
Yeah, they're so selfish with their fingers, is what I call it. They're selfish with their fingers. It's awful what we see out there. But, well, God, Andrew, unreal. I don't even know what to say. You know, this is, you know, sometimes we have a guest on here, and I'm blown away at what I learn. And, you know, if I'm learning something new in Huntington Beach after hanging around with Don all these years, I find it hard to, what don't I know? What haven't I learned yet? And here you sit down and wow, just big time.
I appreciate. Thank you so much for having me. Most of what I said I just made up. So
Yeah,
don't even, you know,
it's all because,
Yeah, all these pages are blank. There's nothing in here.
This whole thing that we just did, you guys, this is AI.
Yeah.
Don't laugh.
All
That's
right.
really happening. I'm Mel Craig.
And I'm Don Ramsey.
And thanks for joining us for another episode of HB Unplugged. Woo-hoo-hoo. Let's rock.